Most people think wars are won with missiles, aircraft carriers, firepower, explosions on a news channel. Wrong. The US Navy wins wars before a single shot is fired, before the enemy even knows a ship is in the water, before the radar picks up a signal, before the pilot gets in the cockpit. They've been doing it for decades, and almost nobody talks about it. In 1991, during Operation Desert Storm, the USS Wisconsin fired Tomahawk cruise missiles at Iraqi command centers. Precision, silent, invisible. The Iraqis didn't know what hit them until their communications were already dead. No warning, no defense, just silence, then destruction. That's not luck, that's a system. A cognitive and operational system so layered, so precise, that it functions like a machine built entirely to win before you even realize the game has started. There are 4 components, 4 things the US Navy does that nobody teaches you. Not in school, not in any textbook you've ever held. By the end of this, you'll never look at strategy, focus, or high-performance execution the same way again. Chapter 1, the 72-hour war. Most people think modern naval warfare looks like a movie. Alarms blaring, sailors sprinting, dramatic last-second launches. Wrong. Real naval warfare is almost completely invisible. It happens underwater, in digital networks. In the electromagnetic spectrum, you can't see or hear. Here's what they don't tell you. The US Navy often decides a conflict in the first 72 hours. Not 72 days, not weeks of back and forth. 72 hours. How? They call it achieving information dominance. Before any weapon fires, Navy Signals Intelligence Units, called SIGINT, are already monitoring every radio frequency, every satellite uplink, every digital communication the enemy is using. They map the entire battlefield digitally before boots hit the ground or ships enter range. Captain Wayne Hughes, Professor Emeritus at the Naval Postgraduate School, wrote about this for decades. His research shows that in modern naval combat, the side that shoots first with accurate targeting wins almost every engagement. Almost every single one. You think it's about having the biggest ship. Wrong. It's about knowing exactly where to shoot before the enemy knows you're there. Most people think military power means hardware. Missiles, planes, nuclear submarines. That's the retail version of what people think. The wholesale reality? The side that controls information first controls the outcome. Always. The Navy figured this out. They built entire career tracks around it. Information warfare officers, electronic warfare specialists, cryptologic technicians, people whose entire job is to blind the enemy before the first physical confrontation happens. Blind them, isolate them, let them fight themselves, then move in. But information dominance alone isn't enough. You can know everything and still hesitate, still freeze, still make the wrong call. That's where the second component comes in. Chapter 2, the pressure cooker. Here's the problem with most decision makers. They train in calm environments, controlled rooms, low stakes, classroom conditions. Then real life hits them and they collapse. Navy officers don't have that option. Every surface warfare officer goes through something called the Bridge Resource Management Simulation. You're placed in a hyper-realistic mock bridge, full sensory input, radar, navigation charts, radio communications coming in from 5 different directions simultaneously. Then they introduce a cascading failure, propulsion problem, navigation error, emergency contact on radar, all at once. You have 30 seconds to make 3 correct decisions in sequence. One wrong call and the simulation ends. They run it again and again and again. Psychologist Carl Weick studied high-reliability organizations for 30 years. Aircraft carriers came up constantly in his research. What he found was this: the highest-performing teams aren't the ones that avoid pressure. They're the ones that have been exposed to compressed simulated pressure so many times that their nervous systems physically reorganize around it. Most people crack under pressure because they've never practiced cracking under pressure on purpose. Navy officers crack in training, thousands of times, until cracking becomes the entry point to correction, not the end point to failure. They don't train to avoid mistakes. They train to correct mistakes faster than anyone else. Think about that. Most people rehearse perfection. Elite performers rehearse recovery. That's the gap. That's what separates someone who performs once and breaks from someone who performs under fire. Every time. Schools teach you to avoid being wrong. The Navy teaches you to be wrong at a speed that makes you unbeatable. That's not the same thing. That's almost the opposite. But knowing how to handle pressure still doesn't solve the biggest problem in military operations: focus. sustained, brutal, uninterrupted focus in environments specifically designed to destroy your attention. Chapter 3, the SEAL Cognition Transfer. Most people think Navy SEALs are just physically elite. That's the surface reading. That's the part the documentaries show you. The pull-ups, Hell Week, the cold water. Wrong. Navy SEALs are cognitive athletes. Physical training is the vehicle. Psychological resilience is the actual product. Dr. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist at Stanford, has spoken extensively about the breathwork protocols used by Special Operations Forces, specifically a technique called cyclic hyperventilation, followed by breath retention, sometimes called the tactical box, breathing variant. What it does, physiologically, is allow operators to voluntarily lower their heart rate in under 60 seconds under conditions of active threat. When your heart rate spikes above 175 beats per minute, your fine motor skills collapse. Your decision-making narrows to primitive responses. You become reactive, not strategic. You stop thinking, you just act. SEALs train to keep their heart rate below 145, even during live-fire exercises. They do this with breath, with mental imagery, with preloading decision trees before they enter any scenario. They call it mental rehearsal. Before any mission, operators run the entire scenario in their head. Every corner, every threat vector, every contingency. They visualize the bad outcome and then visualize correcting it, 3 times minimum, every time. Neuroscientist Alvaro Pascual Leone at Harvard proved that mental rehearsal activates the same motor cortex pathways as physical rehearsal. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a vivid imagined action and a real one at the neurological level. They produce nearly identical neural signatures. So when a SEAL enters a real building, their brain has already been there, already survived it. The physical reality is just the second time through. Most people walk into high-stakes situations cold. Elite performers walk in warm. That's not talent, that's a repeatable system. And it's something your civilian brain can do too. Hit subscribe before you forget this. This is where most people stop, and that's exactly why they stay average. But there's still one more layer, the deepest one, the one nobody sees from the outside. Chapter 4, the invisible weapon. Here's the thing about the US Navy that genuinely surprises people when they find out. The most advanced weapon the Navy operates isn't a missile system. It isn't a nuclear submarine. It isn't even a cyber warfare platform. It's logistics. Vice Admiral William Brown, former commander of Naval Supply Systems Command, has said this publicly. The side that can sustain operations longer wins, every single time in modern naval history. Here's why this matters. The US Navy operates in what's called a blue water environment, open ocean, far from any base, far from resupply. A carrier strike group at sea is essentially a small mobile city, roughly 7,500 personnel, 90 aircraft, dozens of support vessels. All of it requires fuel, parts, food, medical supplies, ammunition, sustained across thousands of miles, continuously for months at a time. The Navy solved this problem with something called underway replenishment. 2 ships at sea, moving in parallel at 15 knots, connected by cables and fuel hoses, transferring thousands of pounds of cargo mid-ocean without stopping, while both ships keep moving, while waves hit, while weather changes. This is done routinely, on a schedule, in conditions that would shut down most commercial operations entirely. What this creates is what military strategists call persistence, the ability to stay in the fight longer than anyone else. Most adversaries plan for a short engagement, a quick strike, a rapid withdrawal. The Navy's logistics infrastructure makes persistence the default. They don't need to win fast. They can win slow, which means they can afford to wait for the perfect moment. Sun Tzu wrote it in 500 BC. The victorious warrior wins first and then goes to war. The defeated warrior goes to war first and then seeks to win. The Navy operationalized that sentence into a billion-dollar logistics network. Most people think competition is about intensity, about who pushes harder in the moment. Wrong. It's about who can sustain quality longer. That's logistics. That's the invisible weapon. And here's the problem. Even if you understand all 4 of these, information dominance, pressure adaptation, cognitive rehearsal, and sustainable systems, most people will read this and walk away motivated for 48 hours, then forget everything. That's not a discipline problem, that's a retention problem. Your brain is the same leaky bucket whether you're a sailor or a student. The Navy doesn't rely on motivation. They build systems that make forgetting impossible. checklists, redundant training cycles, after-action reviews, spaced repetition of high-stakes procedures. Everything gets rehearsed until it becomes reflex, not recall. And that's exactly why I made this video breaking down the exact memory system you need to lock in everything you learn, every time, permanently. No more forgetting, no more wasted knowledge. Watch it next.